Welcome to Female Fluence. We are a place of women empowering women. This is a safe environment where females are not judged nor afraid to flourish. My goal is to help you live an energized life of balance, whether as a mom, a wife, or in your profession. It is time to have self-worth and self-compassion. Live in the present moment and surround yourself with only healthy connections. So join me, Pearl Mash-Schuer, a woman empowerment life coach, an educator, and a mother of three, to help take you on a journey of true identity and inspiration. The causes vary widely, but often homelessness and poverty are linked. A lack of financial resources can leave individuals unable to afford life essentials, including house, food, childcare, healthcare, and education. Being poor can mean a person is one illness, one accident, one paycheck away from living on the streets. The situation becomes even more complicated when you factor in the additional challenge of abuse. Victims who leave their abusive partner due to domestic abuse often experience homelessness. The devastating impact of violence and abuse extends beyond the woman involved, but also their children. My guest today is a resilient mother who, together with her two children, made the brave choice to escape domestic violence. Their journey led them to seek refuge in women's shelter. I'm privileged to have Doina Oncel, a remarkable leader, to share her inspiring journey from shelter life to becoming one of Canada's most powerful leaders. Doina's story is nothing short of inspiring. She has overcome domestic violence and homelessness, but has emerged from it as a prominent force for change, especially in encouraging girls and women to pursue STEM-based careers. Doina is a change maker. She's an innovator. She's a social entrepreneur and a licensed financial advisor on a mission to empower women and families to secure their financial legacy and embrace healthier lives. Her unwavering belief in the transformative power of financial independence is matched only by her passion for financial literacy. She has gone above and beyond by founding Her Evolution to ignite a spark in girls and women, propelling them towards STEM fields. Doina, it's an absolute honor to have you on Female Fluence today. Welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I'm excited to have you. You are from Romania, correct? And as an immigrant, you came to Canada full of dreams and aspirations. How old were you? What were you thinking? Were you scared to make this journey?
I was 19 when I came to Canada. I didn't know people here. I didn't even speak the language. I think that was the scariest part, given that I don't speak English, and how would I communicate with people? Before I got here, I was actually excited. I was looking to leave Romania. For the most part of my life there, for 16 years of my life in Romania, I lived under a communist regime. So I know that, I've seen the revolution happen. So I've seen all of that with my own eyes. And I knew that for me, I wouldn't have had a future if I were to stay there. The only future I would be looking at was to find someone to marry me so that I could be, in the kitchen, pregnant, and
yes,
stay home.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. And funny that I didn't do that because I don't even know how to cook. So never mind. So I'm good. I'm here.
That's scary. I mean, I was 4 years old when I left and I came here and I didn't speak the language, but I can't imagine being 19 and completely starting from scratch. I mean, that's very scary, but you did it.
Yeah.
So you came here with all these goals, but then instead of working towards your full potential, somehow you ended up taking the wrong road and ended up in abusive relationships, correct? And then,
yes.
Which this led you to being homeless with a 6-month-old daughter and a 6-year-old daughter. So I know this is a difficult time of your life, but can you tell us about this challenging time? What happened? How did you get there?
I think that was actually a pivotal point in my life. Funny, but not funny. Before I experienced domestic violence, I studied social work with the feminist perspective. And my job was supposed to be to help women that were abused, that
Right.
were experiencing systemic barriers. Then I experienced that myself. I had to, to go with my children to live in a shelter. It was not the easiest time for sure, but it was definitely something that made me shift into, where I am today. I really believe that nothing really happens by accident, really. I believe that, we are what we're supposed to be. Sometimes we have a detour
Right.
because we do make the wrong choices. And that was, for me, that was the detour. However, it did get me to where I am today, right? If it wasn't, not that I wanted to have that, not that I wish on anybody, but that's where I decided I wanted to change my life, right? I didn't want to experience that again. I didn't want
Right.
my daughters, because my daughters, 6 months, two
Oh.
daughters, 6 months and 6 years. And I feel like I can't have them experience this. And plus, this is why I left Romania. I didn't want to experience that. And I come here and I'm experiencing it.
Right. You
So
wanted to
I
have a
need to
better
change it.
experience for
Yeah.
yourself. And as a homeless person, I mean, I would think
Yes.
people, they're living on the streets, or they can turn into alcohol or drugs or
Mm.
stealing. How were you able to shift and say, I'm not going to get caught in this. I'm actually going to work my way to get out of here? Because that's a hard thing to
Yeah.
do. And a lot of people can't do it. And that's why we have such a problem of homelessness right now
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. Right.
Yeah. I can't judge why other people make choices, and there's so many reasons, and we should never judge because we never
Exactly.
know. I remember for myself when, when I'm very outspoken about my life, because I feel like the more we talk about it, the more, it's not the word to say, we're not normalizing, but we're putting a human face to what's happening,
To the
right?
situation, and you're teaching
Right.
others, right? So because other people can
Exactly.
learn from what you've been through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's two reasons why I am where I am. One, I remember my grandmother's words when she used to tell me growing up, because I was raised by her since I was 6 months old. And she used to tell me on a daily basis, Doina, you're born to be somebody. So when I'm in a situation where it's not ideal, I feel like if I was born to be somebody, this really doesn't feel like it. So that was one reason. But the one very important reason why I decided to change my life is when I was living in the shelter with my kids. I remember we're sitting at the dinner table, we're having dinner, and my then 6-year-old daughter, after we finished eating, I hope I'm not going to get emotional, but after we finished eating, she just kind of pulled me by the hand here and says, Mom, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be just like you. And I was like, wow, like it really makes such a difference on the decisions, on the things that I do,
And she
because
said
I
this to you when things were really bad,
really
right?
bad. Yes, I was in the shelter, living in the
Wow, that
shelter.
is a very powerful
Yes,
moment. I think that would
yes,
be like your trigger point that just
yes,
shifted.
yes. That was it. That was it for me. And I said, what kind of choices and decisions do I get to make? Because if I am to tell my kids, you should do better, then I should lead by example, right?
Exactly. Right.
So that was the pivotal moment for me when I said, okay, if I wanted my children to do better. And then it kind of reminded me why I came to Canada. I came to Canada for a better life. I didn't come to Canada to just be where I was, right? So,
Exactly.
and I wanted my kids to see, especially as young women, right? I wanted them to see and to do better than what I had, like to do, yeah, better than me. How, and whatever I could do, right? Like for me
Right.
was, so I need to change my life for them, if not for me. Sometimes when we are in situations that are really hard, right? Sometimes it's really hard for us to do it just for ourselves, like to change our lives for ourselves. But when we have somebody else that we can change our life for, at least we can start with that. So for me, that was the moment. I said, I have
I
to do
think it
this for
kind
my
of gives
daughter.
you a superpower. Like when you feel like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to do this for my children.
Yes.
For somebody else, if you just want to do it for yourself, you might not have that strength, but somehow you get
Yeah.
that strength when you want to do it for somebody else. So I totally
Absolutely.
can resonate with that. What was the first step you took? So you're homeless, you're too, what did you do to kind of say, okay, I have to get a job, I need to do this or whatnot?
Yes. So I got a job. It was really, really weird because the job was, well, first I got my own place. I got my own place. And although I was pushed a lot into getting government home, I said, no, I don't want that. I want to get myself out of that. So my thing is, I want to not be homeless. I want to be with a home. So I refused to live in a government home. Although everybody was, I remember I was on welfare, and the women in welfare offices, if you don't stay in a government home, then we're going to cut you off. I said, do whatever you need to do, but that's not what I want. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for myself. So I moved, I found my own apartment. Then I found a job. And then that job was, it was really hard, working part-time just to actually make ends meet,
Yes.
But then
Single mom, young
absolutely
kids, of
having to
course.
take daycare,
Yeah.
school, be a mom, make ends meet. It was really tough. But then I just think what I did to help myself was I made a decision to change my life for one, and then was to surround myself with people that were a little bit higher than where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And if those people were willing to teach me anything, I was willing to listen because I wanted to have people in my life that were a bit ahead than where I was. I made a decision to do a bit of a cleanup, so to speak, of the people that I had in my life. I literally took a piece of paper and a pen
So
and I
like your
wrote,
circle of friends
yes,
or people or
yes,
community, because
yes,
that they can make a huge impact on you. If you're around negative
absolutely.
people that are just not inspired by anything, they're not successful,
Yes,
that can totally bring
yes.
you down.
I'm not normally a selfish person, but that was the only time when I was very selfish about these people are not doing anything for me. They have to go.
Yeah. You
And
had
just
to be.
made the
You had no
decision.
choice as a mother.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. It makes such a big difference, like you said, that having people in your life. Because I remember that was the first time when I heard this, show me who the 5 people in your life are, and I'll show you who you are. So I was like, wow, I really need to look at those 5 people,
That's
the
very
top 5 people.
powerful, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now within 10 years, you really
Yes.
went from homeless to
Yes.
homeowner. That's an incredible
Yes.
journey. How did you do
Yes.
this? I mean, that's really
Oof.
inspiring for, anyone who's listening out there with,
Yes.
financial troubles,
Hmm. I was homeless and $60,000 in debt and having to figure out how do I do this. It was financial literacy, seek financial literacy for myself. Like I said, whoever was willing to teach me, I was willing to listen. That was my decision. And I realized that, and
Were you
if
always
I,
like a math or finance person, or that was not really your
no,
thing?
money was my thing. I learned that from my grandmother. Money was my thing, and I've always been ambitious, right? I just said that I had the wrong people in my life, and that
Right.
kind of took me in the wrong direction. But money was my thing. My grandmother, she did not go to school. She was born in 1905. She did not go to school. She did not know how to read and write, but she knew how to count her money. She knew how to manage her money. She taught me about money. And for me, it was like, again, I realized that money is a tool. When we are in a situation, that is disadvantageous, right? The
Right.
only way to get out of that is having some money. You know, money puts you in a position where you can get something a little bit better. Like
You have choices. Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for that. You kind of took what I wanted to say. You have choices. That's what I say every time. Money helps you come up with the choices that you
Right.
want for yourself. Yes, you have choices.
Very good. Well, you are a true leader and a change maker. And as a result, you've been given several awards from the 2021 WXN Canada's Most Powerful Woman to the Role Model for
Yes.
Canadians Barbie You Can Be Anything campaign. These are just to name a few. There's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
other ones out there that I'm not listing. But how about on the outside of all the hard work and everything you've been through and all your challenges? How would you describe yourself?
Oh my goodness. I'm a mother first and foremost. So when it comes to that comes number one. I'm a mother. I I'm also a very hard worker and very ambitious and very goal oriented. So for me, anything I do has to have a goal attached to it. Otherwise, it's not gonna get done. All my life, since I was really young, I remember I was 8 years old, and I kept on asking a lot of questions, very curious, and especially when it comes to women, like women's rights, growing up the way I grew up. As a woman, I would have had to marry someone, I was never thought that me being a woman, I could do anything I want to do. I was taught that as a woman, I have to find a man, and then whatever he wants to do, I have to follow that. And I always ask the question about why. This is not fair. I'm not okay with this. And then I remember my mom used to tell me, like, stop asking all these questions. No man is ever want to marry
Well,
you.
these
And
are
I
the
said,
stories that were
yes,
told to us, right? All like, especially
yes,
different cultures. It's the same. That
right,
was, kind of imprinted in our brain that this is what, this is the steps that you have to take. And then
yes.
for you to challenge outside of that
Always challenge it.
was a shocker for a lot
Always
of
challenge it.
people,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And even though, like us, so when I had my children and getting abused, that was so normal back home. And for me to walk away and leave it all and just, I don't care, I'm just not
Yeah.
going to accept this. It was a little bit
Shocking for
stressful.
them, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And my mom, I remember, and I always think, like, I'm not blaming my mom. I'm just saying, like, because this is what she knew as well, right? But she used to say, like, maybe you should get back because the kid's not going to have a father. I'm like, yes, but I don't want my kids to see that. For me, it's I'm always about justice. I think this is my justice. I want to make sure that everything is equal. It must be the Libra in me, but I want to have equality. I want to
I
have
love it.
justice done for people, and I think this is why I chose the careers that I've had. Starting a charitable organization is, how do I make an impact here? Because I seen something needs to be done with the financial literacy. The same thing. I want to make sure I help women as much as possible because I feel like somebody needs to do it. Why not be you? But I think it's because
Somebody has to do it.
yeah, somebody has to do it. Why not be you? And I think we need to have more, especially women, to be able to speak out. And I feel like if I'm going to sit quiet, right, nobody's going to want to speak out because they feel alone. So if I
Yes.
speak out, then somebody else is going to speak out as well. So I am that person, I believe, at all times. And I'm also very hardworking. A lot of people tell me that my work ethic is out of this world. I just feel like if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. So
That makes
yeah,
all the difference. But I
absolutely.
think we need more females like you, because if everybody thinks like that and they don't have that, because I feel like we've been told as a society, as females, to
Hmm.
stay quiet and just go with
Yes.
whatever been taught to us. And then a lot of times if we want to speak up, it's not looked upon
Yeah.
respectful or the correct
Yes.
way to do it, or we're trying
You're not
to,
ladylike.
it's not ladylike, we're trying to disrupt the peace. So, but
Yeah.
if we have, obviously for the right reasons, if we are as females working together, collaborating, and actually, speaking our mind to make positive changes,
Hmm.
then that's the only thing we can really do, right?
Yeah. And I think us more women, we should support each other more. Really, we should, because if we do support each other, we create that sisterhood. I believe if one of us wins, then we all win, right? Because
Yes.
it makes it easier for the rest of us to follow, right? But if none of us go forward, then we all stand behind. So I'm all for any women out there. It doesn't have to be me. Anybody can win. I'm so happy because that way I feel like, oh, if she did it, I can
Yes.
do it too.
She's, because
Yeah,
you know what? We pave the way for each other when we do that. So
absolutely.
I completely
Absolutely.
agree with you. That's a very good
Hmm.
point. Now, I know you take great pride in motherhood, and I think you already said this, and I'm sure your daughters look up to you. So was it your grandmother who was the person that you looked up to that made all the difference, and you are who you are today? Is that your inspirational?
Yes, I really admire her because, like I said, she did not have any education, any formal education, but she knew how to count her money. That woman knew
Inner
everything about
wisdom.
money.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And she always was very, yeah, she had a lot of wisdom and she cared for a lot of people. She was that grandma that, like, she was everybody's grandma, not just my grandma. And she took care of everybody. And she was known as the healer in our community. So when anybody would feel a certain way, she'd go talk to her. So I feel like, you know, I'm really happy that I am the way I am. So I am
Yes.
taking that from her. I feel like I got that from her. So yeah, she has been my role model all my life.
And she's that voice I think you carried with you that
Yes.
helped you make that shift as well.
When I make a decision in life, I always say, how would my grandmother feel? Would she be
Yes.
proud of me or not? So that's how I know that she's my role model.
Oh, that's such a good thing to have. It's like you have this gift forever that you carry with you that will help
Yeah,
empower you to make very, important decisions in life. You need to
yeah,
treasure that for
I
sure,
do.
for
I
sure.
really do.
Now, what advice do you have for other immigrants or just other women trying to start a new life?
First and foremost, believe in yourself. So when you come to this country or any country, I live in Canada, so Canada, US, anywhere in the world where you go, believe in yourself first and foremost. Everyone is human, so whoever you talk to, just believe that there's more good than bad in the world. If you come with that belief, then you're going to find more good than you find bad.
Hmm.
Find your purpose. When you find your purpose, then somehow you're going to find your way to get to that purpose, right? And then find your circle, find your people that will going to help and support you. And they don't necessarily have to be from the same country where you're from.
Right.
They could be from anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be from the same country. I find that I have a huge network of people, and very few of them are where I'm from. But they all have their purpose. So I realize that for me and for everybody that comes to any country that they immigrate to any country, if they find people from be open to that, because some people are not open to that, right? They just say, well, they have to be from my country, or they have
Right.
to, you know
A lot
and
of
one
times
other thing.
that's what they look for, right? The moment you come, and then sometimes
Yes.
I feel like then it doesn't let you learn English or move forward
Yeah.
because you need that safety net, to
And it's
just
okay
be,
for the
and that it's
beginning, right?
okay too,
Yes,
exactly.
it's okay
But you
for the
also need
beginning,
to
but then be
grow.
open. Yes.
Yeah.
And then one thing, like, to be honest, for me, and I want to tell everybody to do this, be very open to experience different cultures. Even if it comes to try some food from another country. We are living in North America, you know. As in
Yeah.
North America, we have access to
So much.
cuisine from all
Right.
over the world. It really starts with that. And once we try it, we get to see how much we have things in common with other cultures. But also, when we talk to people from other cultures, we get to see the common thing we have, as in common versus, well, how we different. And
Right.
once we think that way, we get to actually build a network of people that will support us along the way, whatever we need to go.
That's a great point. That's again, and then you're gonna feel more comfortable and more at home, and that way
Yes.
you can actually grow. Now, Doina, how do you ensure that you always maintain financial freedom? Because I know that you're very passionate about this, and with
Yes.
everything you've been through, that is a priority for you. So, how do you ensure that continues to be the case?
I think about my kids first and foremost. Myself personally, I think about my kids, that I want to make sure that I leave a legacy for them. That's very important to me. But for any woman out there, just really be very passionate about your independence. And I really think that if we think that way, if we think about our independence, not having to depend on anybody financially, it's a very powerful thing. So for me, that's super important, right? Because I don't want to, for example, personally, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody because they can support me financially, but don't want that person. I don't like that person. I don't want to be to say somebody to tell me, oh, I can't live in this city because now I'm stuck with this person to support me where I am. Like, I have to have my freedom. For me, that's very important. So that's how I keep my financial. And I also set goals, right? So I said to myself, I would like to, I would like to travel, or, I want to buy something for myself, and how much does it cost? And I look at that, and then I kind of work backwards. How much
Hmm.
money do I need to save per month, per week, per day, so that I can actually achieve that goal? Like I mentioned earlier, I am very goal oriented, and I think that's what makes it easier for me.
Right.
You know, yeah, that's
Um,
that's
very
very
good.
important, I think,
I
and
mean, I think
everybody
those
should
that
have
those are
that.
all good tips that if we can
Yes,
follow, and that financial independency is so important. And a lot of us
yeah.
females forget about it, or we realize that when it's too late, when we've
Mhm.
either been through a divorce or we've lost a
Yes.
spouse, and all of a sudden we realize, oh, we have to look through everything. We have no idea what bank accounts we have or any
Hmm.
financial information. So it's good just to educate ourselves that we have
Absolutely.
that financial literacy, whether we're single, married, before
Yeah.
horrible situations can happen and we're
And
prepared.
even if you are in that situation,
Yeah.
one piece of advice that I have, and maybe this is selfish, but have a financial advisor to walk you through. You don't
Hmm.
have to do it alone, right? Because I find like sometimes when we want to do it alone, if we don't have that knowledge, we don't really see how we get out of that, right? But if we walk with somebody to show us, somebody that has been there before, somebody that has all the knowledge and the tools to help you, why not? Seek the help if you can.
Of
And
course.
there are a lot of independent financial advisors out there. You don't even have to pay them money to help you. So they could do it for you for free to be able, for you to get to a point where you need to go. So seek that help as much as possible. Again, women support women, right?
Yes, yes,
If you
for
can,
sure.
so seek that help and find someone that is a woman that has a story like you that can, I would love for me, I want to help women that have been that are where I've been so that I can take them from that place to where I am now.
Right.
And I want to inspire them because I think that's super important, right? Like for them to see, oh, there's a way out,
There
right?
is a way
There's,
out, right? There's a
yes,
light
there's a
at the
way
end of
out.
the tunnel, correct?
Yes,
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 yes.
there is one. Yes,
Now, do your daughters remember about the whole homeless
yes,
situation? They do.
yes,
Do they, how
yes.
old are they now?
21 and 15.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Wow. So are they, how
yes.
are they? Are they financially,
Oh, yes,
smart as far
yes,
as balancing their,
absolutely.
of course they are,
Well,
right? You've taught them
yes.
well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm nag them
And
about
I'm
them all
sure
the
they
time.
appreciate money and look at,
Yes,
the finances in a different way than,
absolutely.
yeah,
I'll tell you a quick story. So,
sure.
couple of years back, I remember when we did not have money. I went to the store. I was afraid to look at my bank account. I'm like, if I don't see it, then it's just not happening. I'm
Right.
okay. Right. So I went to the store, the grocery store, to buy groceries. And I put everything in the cart. And then when I'm about to buy,
Oh
there's a
God.
long lineup, right, of people. I keep on saying insufficient funds, insufficient funds, insufficient funds. Out of like I think about almost about $100 and something grocery bill. The only thing that I could afford was a box of crackers that was $2.40. And so I went home. I sat my kids. I was so embarrassed because everybody was looking at me. Some people were
The
upset because
line,
I was in
yes, of
line, and
course.
some people were feeling bad for me. And there was those mixed feelings. And me, I was embarrassed. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was looking at my kids and they were hungry. And so we went home and I said, this is what we have. Don't ask me for any money. Don't, like, right now I can't really do anything to buy you any additional stuff, but I make you a promise. We will never be in this situation again. And I worked really hard into coming out. Even if I had to go to food bank, I depended on the food bank to to feed them, right? And then I worked really hard to get out of that. And now we go to the store. There's occasionally, my kids still remember that moment, and they come and they say, "Remember that time when we went to the store and we couldn't afford it? Look at how lucky we are now to be able to buy this food." I was like, "Yeah, like I'm happy that they remember that, right? Because you have to show gratitude when you have things, right? When you are to a point where you
Of
don't,
course.
when you don't suffer from not having money or food or anything, when you have it, the abundance is there. You should show gratitude." And then with my kids, I do have my oldest daughter, and I tell her all the time that, I don't want to decide what you want to do with your life. Whatever you want to do for career, choose that. Be happy. But the one thing I want from you is to be financially independent
Independent.
because you do not want to be where I was. Because remember
Mhm.
that time? We have in these stories. Remember that time when we didn't have it? We
I
don't want to be
love
there.
your cracker story. I mean, it just made me
Yes.
almost cry. And I feel like, with all this stuff that we do for our children, it's like these are the stories that are so precious that it will
Mm-hmm.
stay with them forever. I think you should take
Yes.
that box of crackers and like frame it and put it somewhere in the house. So whenever, someone like you forget, the kids forget, it's just a
Yeah.
constant reminder of what it was like and what it is like
Mm-hmm.
today. And that gratitude just stays with them forever. That's a great
Yes,
story.
that's a really good idea. You know what? I will because they still have the same box of
The
crackers
same
at
box
the
of
store.
crackers.
So I'll just buy one and I'll just frame it and I'll put it on the wall. And I
This
make
is
sure I
it.
put the price, $2.40. That's
Right.
all
So
I could afford.
it's there forever for all of you to
Yeah.
remember what you've been through and how
Yeah.
successful you are. So that's so inspiring. Now you state that it's not how much money you make, but what you do with the money that matters.
Yes.
Why is financial literacy such a passion for you? I mean, you've said a lot of it, but is it more
Hmm.
because you were an immigrant, you left Romania for a better life? Is it because you were homeless? Or is it
All of
because
the
as a
above.
woman, you feel like you were never taught or given the chance? So you want to make that difference and prove that, us females can be financial literate and we can be
Hmm.
independent. So which one?
Yeah. They're all
Or
of the above. So
all of the
as an
above.
immigrant, coming to Canada and having a different financial literacy, or, I learned from my mom. I was raised by a single mom as well. And then she would come home. And I remember with her, she would come home. Back then, there was cash that she would get paid, and she put all the money on the table, and she would pay all the bills first, and then whatever would be left over, we would get some for us. And I said, when I come to Canada, I notice things are differently here. And then I learn about like to shift my mindset around paying myself first and then pay the bills. Or
Mhm.
if I pay the bills, this is what I do now. What I do now is when my light bill come, when my gas bill comes, when I have to pay credit card bills, or mortgage, whatever, I make sure that with the smaller bill, for example, so my gas bill is $160. I pay the gas bill, but I also pay myself the same amount. I put in my savings. When my light bill is $60, or whatever it is a month, I just put the same thing into my savings. Whatever
You do
mortgage
this
is,
every time, each
every
month?
day, every month. Yes.
That's a great plan.
Yeah.
I
For
like that.
myself, I know it could be quite aggressive for some people, so they don't have to
I
follow
mean, if
this.
you can do it, if you can manage it, it's a great way to really, I mean, I just feel like in this world that we live in, I mean, I mean, in America, I mean, the Starbucks, for example, like the
Hmm.
whole coffee situation, people just don't even see it. It's like every day, $12, $15, it's
Yes.
just coffee left and right, or just, I mean, basic stuff like that especially the younger generation are
Hmm.
just not really realizing how much money. But if you make a
Yes.
goal, like I always, I'm like, if you just put away just the money that you every day that you want to go get a coffee, these
Hmm.
fancy drinks, and you put it
But you
aside.
don't have to take away. You don't have to take that away, because I also don't believe in having to take everything, all the good
Right.
things that you like, right?
Of course, you have to
If it's
enjoy life,
yeah,
in
absolutely,
moderation, right? But I love how
absolutely.
you pay the bill and then you pay yourself.
I
It's
pay
like
myself.
it's a great
And the thing
balance.
is, the thing about it, once I pay myself, it's into the savings account. Whatever I have left over, that's what I spend on other things. Like if I want to get coffee, I need to make sure that I pay myself first, right? So that because one of my biggest fears, like I don't want to be homeless again. So I need to make sure that we have enough money, right? I don't want to not have money when I go buy food. So I
Right.
need to make sure that we're not
So I
going
think
to,
in the back of your head, because of what you've been through, this is right. It's like you want to always make sure that you never go there. So you're extra
right.
conservative,
I'm
right?
extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Which
am
is
extra aggressive with my savings, and not so aggressive with my spending. So I'm very conservative with my
it's good.
spending.
It's a
Yes.
good balance
Yeah.
as long as you're enjoying life and, and figuring it out. I
Yes.
think it's a great balance. In the end, what is the most important thing for you? What do you want from life? I mean, you've experienced a
Mm.
lot, you've grown a lot, you have your children, you have your success. What is the most important thing?
This Every time I get asked these questions and I answer, people are like, how is that even possible? My goal is I want to live forever. And I know people are like, how is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. I believe that through the work that we do, if we impact people, then they will impact other people. Or, my goal is that when I die, or after I die, hundreds, 200 years from
Yeah.
now, people will still talk, like families and children will still talk about me in the living room, to say, Doina was one person that made a difference in my life. And this is my life's goal. I want to be that person. I'm not going to physically live forever, but
Right.
the fact that the work that I'm doing, it's impactful in a positive way, That's how I want to live forever.
I mean, I have to tell you, we definitely have this in common because I want to live forever as well, just the way you said it. I think our legacy is the most important thing we have. And if we can pay it forward, even if when we're not here, that is the most important thing. That's what that's my goal in life. Exactly. You said it beautifully. And that totally resonates with me. So,
yeah. Well, I'm glad I have somebody that sees,
yes. So it's not strange. I completely understand. No.
People ask me like, oh, that's weird. You can never live forever. I'm like, yes, you can.
Yes, you can. You can.
Yes, you can. Yeah. And that's the way to do it. You impact people in a positive way, and they will remember that, and they will talk about you with, their family. It doesn't have to, I don't need to be a celebrity. To come.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you've made an impact, you've made a difference. And that's, in the end, that's all that really matters, right?
Absolutely. And I want my kids to say, if anybody comes to them and say, oh, your mother made a difference in my life, and I want to say that was my mom. I'm so proud. Right. So
yes. Yeah. I love that for sure. Well, I mean, in summary, you are just doing everything. Your capacity to ignite profound change is truly exceptional. You've already embarked on a journey that's transforming not only your life, but also the lives of countless others, which is exactly what you want. Your advocacy for closing the gender pay gap, tireless efforts to engage women in STEM, impactful work in financial literacy, and to empower just a whole new generation of women to take charge of their destiny. Through unwavering dedication and sheer determination, you have created change and inspired others to join your cause, making you the incredible success you are today. For those who experience the challenges of being a struggling immigrant or surviving an abusive relationship or enduring life in a homeless shelter, your story is a powerful reminder that dreams can be realized by following the inner voice, maybe the voice of your grandmothers, that guides and inspires us all. Is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
I would like all women, and young women especially, to realize that anything is possible. You can do anything. Just put your mind to it and it will happen.
We can do anything we set our mind to it. So
anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I love that, Doina. Thank you so much for being on Female Fluence today. All the links will be shared in our show notes, and I will have Doina's information on our show notes. So if anyone wants to get in touch with her, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to Female Fluence. Together, we can influence and motivate other mind-like females. Your job is to feel alive, be in control, and always be true to your own self. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can continue feeling inspired. All the links and notes from this episode will be posted on my website, femalefluence.com. Don't forget to also follow me at Female Fluence on both Instagram and Facebook. Lastly, if you are in need of a woman empowerment life coach to help you identify the barriers that keep you from living the life you seek, please send an email to info@femalefluence.org. Remember, my friends, don't just exist, but live your life to the fullest. I'm your host, Pearl Mashur. Until we talk next time.